CD2. Pathways Listening, Speaking, and Critical Thinking 2 by Becky Tarver Chase and Kristen L. Johansson. Copyright 2012, published by Heinle, a part of Cengage Learning. All rights reserved. Unit 5. Building Vocabulary. A. Meaning from context. Page 84. Facts to make you think about your brain.
1. Every time you have a new thought or recall a memory, your brain creates a new connection or pathway.
2. Even without words, you can understand when someone is happy, sad, or angry. There is a small area in your brain called the amygdala that helps you read other people's faces and understand their moods.
3. The belief that we only use a tiny amount, 10% of our brains, is false. Each part of the brain has a function, so we use 100% of our brains.
4. Learning something new can change the structure of the brain in just 7 days. If you want to change your brain quickly, you should try learning a new skill like juggling or playing a musical instrument.
5. The things you do, eat, smell, and touch every day all generate thoughts. The average person experiences approximately 70,000 thoughts a day.
6. Your brain is an amazing, complex organ. It contains more than 100 billion neurons that are always sending messages. But not all neurons are the same. Different neurons send messages at different speeds.
7. Every time you think, laugh, or sneeze, it's because chemical signals are moving from neuron to neuron. Your brain is a very powerful organ. In fact, when you are awake, your brain generates between 10 and 23 watts of electricity, or enough power to power a light bulb.
8. The hypothalamus is the part of your brain that controls your body temperature. It knows your correct body temperature, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 37 degrees Celsius. When you get too hot, it makes you sweat. When you get too cold, it makes you shiver.
Developing listening skills. Listening, a documentary. A. Page 86. Your amazing brain. You carry around a 3-pound organ in your head that controls everything you will ever do. It enables you to think, learn, create, and feel emotions, and controls every breath and heartbeat. This fantastic control center is your brain. It is so amazing that a famous scientist once called it the most complex thing we have yet discovered in our universe. Your brain works faster than a supercomputer. Imagine your cat is on your kitchen counter. She's about to step onto a hot stove. You have only seconds to respond. By using the signals coming from your eyes, your brain quickly calculates when, where, and how quickly you will need to move to stop your cat from stepping on the stove. Your brain then tells your muscles what to do. You run across the kitchen and pick your cat up, and she's safe. No computer can come close to your brain's ability to receive, process, and respond to the enormous amount of information coming from your eyes, ears, and other sensory organs. The brain is also an amazingly powerful organ. It generates enough electricity to power a light bulb. Your brain contains about 100 billion microscopic cells called neurons. So many, it would take you over 3,000 years to count them all. Whenever you dream, laugh, think, see, or move, it's because tiny chemical and electrical signals are moving at high speed between these neurons along billions of tiny neuron highways. The activity in your brain never stops. Thousands and thousands of messages are sent around inside your brain every second. Your neurons create and send more messages than all the phones in the entire world. And while a single neuron generates only a tiny amount of electricity, all your neurons together can generate enough electricity to power a light bulb. Your neurons are not only able to send lots of messages, they are able to send them very quickly. Neurons send information to your brain at more than 150 miles per hour. For example, imagine that a bee lands on your bare foot. Sensory neurons in your skin send this information to your spinal cord and brain at a speed of more than 150 miles per hour. Your brain then uses motor neurons to transmit or send the message back through your spinal cord, telling your foot to shake the bee off quickly. Motor neurons can transmit this information at more than 200 miles per hour. What about learning? We know that learning increases knowledge, but studies show that when you learn, you actually change the structure of your brain. For example, an activity like riding a bike seems impossible at first, but soon you master it. But how do you do this? As you practice, your brain sends bike riding messages along certain pathways of neurons over and over, forming new connections. In fact, the structure of your brain changes every time you learn, as well as whenever you have a new thought or memory. Exercise also has an impact on your brain. Research shows that exercise actually helps make you smarter. It is well known that any exercise that makes your heart beat faster, such as jogging or playing soccer, is good for your body and can even help improve your mood. But scientists have recently learned that for a period of time after you've exercised, your body produces a chemical that makes it easier for your brain to learn. So the next time you're stuck trying to solve a homework problem, go out for a bike ride or go jogging. Then try the problem again. You just might discover that you're able to solve it. Pronunciation. Linking sounds. Page 87. Consonant sound. Vowel sound.
It's a fascinating job.
Vowel sound. Vowel sound.
I knew it was the right answer.
The book will certainly be interesting.
Consonant sound. Same consonant sound.
What was your reason for being late?
Collaboration. Page 87.
1. Your brain controls everything you do.
2. Your brain generates enough energy to power a light bulb.
3. The activity in your brain never stops.
4. Your brain sends a message to your foot to shake the bee off quickly.
5. Any exercise that makes your heart beat faster can help your mood.
6. Your body produces a chemical that makes it easier to learn.
Building vocabulary. B. Meaning from context. Page 94.
Romantic love versus long-term attachments. There are many different kinds of love. There is the strong emotion we feel when we fall in love. There is the attachment between parents and children, and the quiet feeling of security that develops slowly in long-term relationships when couples are together for many years. Your brain knows the difference between romantic love and other attachments. When we're in love, the amount of a brain chemical called dopamine increases. This increase in dopamine gives us the extra energy we feel when we're in love. At the same time, this increase in dopamine can make the brains of people who are lovesick similar to the brains of people with OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder. People with OCD cannot stop thinking about something, and these thoughts can cause compulsive behaviors, actions the person cannot control, such as washing their hands again and again. Similarly, people who are in love often cannot stop thinking about the person they are in love with. Both people with OCD and people in love may sometimes find it difficult to function normally in their daily lives because of their thoughts. Fortunately, this lovesickness is a short-term condition. With time, strong romantic feelings decrease, and we can concentrate on real life again. As time passes, couples have higher levels of oxytocin, a brain chemical connected with calm feelings of happiness and trust. So is love only a matter of brain chemistry? In fact, while chemicals do affect the way we feel, psychological factors are also important. We might be attracted to someone who likes the same things we like, for example, or someone who makes us feel safe and secure.
Developing listening skills. Before listening. A. Page 96.
Did you understand everything Professor Wong said yesterday about short-term memory?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure that I did.
Well, here's what I got from the lecture. Your short-term memory only lasts a few seconds, right? Information enters the brain through the senses, things we taste, touch, smell, and so on, and we remember it long enough to function normally.
Sorry, but what do you mean by function normally?
Well, for example, if I ask you a question, you can remember the question long enough to answer it.
Right, but you might not remember the question tomorrow.
Listening. A conversation between students. A. Listening for main ideas. Page 97.
Did you understand everything Professor Wong said yesterday about short-term memory?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure that I did.
Well, here's what I got from the lecture. Your short-term memory only lasts a few seconds, right? Information enters the brain through the senses, things we taste, touch, smell, and so on, and we remember it long enough to function normally.
Sorry, but what do you mean by function normally?
Well, for example, if I ask you a question, you can remember the question long enough to answer it.
Right, but you might not remember the question tomorrow.
Okay, that makes sense. But how is the process similar or different for long-term memory?
Actually, the process is quite different. First of all, to create a long-term memory, your brain has to decide that something is important.
Like information from yesterday's lecture?
Right. Or how to ride a bicycle.
Sure, like both of those things. But there's more to the process. To learn new information, you have to concentrate. You know, really focus on it and think about it. Or study it. Or to learn how to do something, like ride a bicycle, you have to do it again and again.
Yeah. So, in other words, if I want to memorize information for, say, an exam, and have it go into my long-term memory, I need to really concentrate on the information when I hear it or read it, and maybe review it several times. That's just common sense, I think.
It is common sense, but it's interesting to me that when you learn new things, your brain forms new connections, new pathways of neurons.
That is interesting. So learning actually changes the structure of the brain.
Unit 6. Lesson A. Building vocabulary. C. Page 104.
1. Today, Many countries have produced guidelines to teach their citizens about healthy diets.
2. Most doctors recommend eating a lot of fruits and vegetables.
3. Fresh fruits, such as oranges and bananas, contain important vitamins.
4. You should eat a few servings of protein every day. Fish, meat, and tofu all contain protein.
5. Cheese is an excellent source of calcium. So are milk and yogurt.
6. Scientists believe that the regional food in Sardinia helps the people who live there live long, healthy lives.
7. It's okay to include some sweets such as chocolate in your diet, but not too many.
8. Some scientists believe that eating broccoli can improve your memory. I'm going to eat some before the test next Friday.
9. Bananas only grow in specific areas of the world. They can only grow in countries with warm tropical climates, such as Costa Rica.
10. On an average day, I drink 3 cups of coffee, but yesterday I drank 5.
Lesson A. Developing listening skills. Pronunciation. Intonation of finished and unfinished sentences. Page 106.
I have to go to the supermarket. She lives in Tokyo.
I saw Pam yesterday. Mike's brother called.
A. Page 106.
1. I really don't like milk.
2. Rick has 2 brothers.
3. For dinner, we had chicken.
4. On my next vacation, I want to go to Chile.
5. My mother is a teacher.
6. On Saturdays, we usually go to the park.
Listening. A seminar. A. Listening for main ideas. Page 107.
Hello, everyone. As you know, I'm from South Korea, a country that developed very quickly. 50 years ago, it was an agricultural country. Today, it's one of the most modern countries in Asia, with many high-tech industries. And people's diets have modernized too. In my research, I've been looking at these changes in diet and trying to answer this question: which kind of diet is better, a traditional diet or a modern one? Okay, this chart shows what Koreans ate every day in 2 different years, 1969, before Korea started modernizing, and 1995, after Korea was modernized. You can see that in 1969, people were eating about 37 ounces of food every day, and in 1995, they were eating about 39 ounces of food. That's not a very big change. So even before Korea was modernized, overall, people had enough food.
Miran, may I say something here? You're talking about the average amount of food. So that means some people had more than that, and some people had less. So maybe there were people who really didn't have enough to eat.
That's a good point. Actually, because Korea was a farming country then, everyone had some kind of food, but it wasn't always a healthy diet. Okay, moving on. When we compare the kinds of food people ate, we see a significant difference. The most important food in Korea is rice. We eat it 3 times a day. In 1969, people were eating 20 ounces of rice every day, more than a pound. That's a lot of rice. But in 1995, they were eating only 11 ounces of rice and other grains per day, much less than in the past. Now, remember, the total amount of food increased during that time. So, what were people eating? If you look at the chart, you'll see that people were eating more of everything. The amount of vegetables increased a little, from 9.5 ounces a day in 1969 to 10 ounces a day in 1995. But people were eating a lot more fruit. The amount of fruit people ate increased from about 2 ounces a day to about 5 ounces a day. And look at meat. In 1969, people were eating only a very tiny amount of meat, about 1/4 of an ounce a day. In 1995, they were eating almost 2.5 ounces of meat a day. Finally, look at the last numbers for milk. Okay, for milk in 1969, people were only drinking about 1/10 of an ounce of milk per day. In 1995, that increased to about 2.3 ounces a day.
Could I ask a question, Miran? Is that just milk, or does that include other dairy products too?
Actually, that includes all dairy products. A lot of Koreans love yogurt and ice cream.
C. Page 107.
To continue, as the country developed, instead of just eating a lot of rice and vegetables, Koreans started including many other kinds of foods in their diets, especially animal products like meat, fish, eggs, and dairy products, which were expensive. One reason for this change was that people had more money, so they could buy more of these expensive foods. The percentage of animal products in the Korean diet went from 3% in 1969 to almost 21% in 1995. That is the biggest change in the Korean diet. Now, a lot of experts recommend that your overall diet should be mostly plant foods such as fruits and vegetables. They believe that animal products aren't healthy. But I want to tell you about one more interesting change in Korea. Young people today are much taller now than their parents were. The average height of teenage boys is about 3.5 inches taller than 20 years ago. And the average teenage girl is almost 2 inches taller. It's very interesting. Young people now are much taller because of the improved diet. If children eat more protein, they grow up to be taller. Really, everyone in Korea is healthier now. If people include more fruit in their diets, they get more vitamins. So, in conclusion, in some other students' reports, we heard about places where changing to a modern diet has caused many new health problems. But this information about Korea shows us that sometimes a modern diet can be better than the traditional diet. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions?
Lesson B. Building vocabulary. A. Meaning from context. Page 114.
1. This bar graph shows how much fruit people eat in one country. The y-axis represents the number of servings of fruit. The x-axis represents age groups. Each apple represents one serving. You can see that teenagers don't eat very much fruit.
2. This line graph shows how the amount of sugar people eat in one country has changed. The numbers are the yearly amounts of all kinds of sugar eaten by one person. The line illustrates how much the use of sugar has increased. The last point shows that in 2000, each person ate almost 152 pounds, 69 kilograms, of sugar.
3. This pie chart shows how the average family in one country spends the money in its food budget. The biggest section, or slice, is for meat and fish, and the smallest section is for others, things such as salt and cooking oil.
4. This diagram explains what people should eat for a healthy diet. The labels tell you how many servings of each type of food people should eat every day.
Developing listening skills. Listening. A group discussion. A. Listening for main ideas. Page 117.
Okay, ready? So, who has a suggestion for our guidelines?
Well, we could tell people about fast food places that do have some healthy food.
But that's not what people usually eat there. I think we should talk about regular fast food, like fried chicken.
Yeah, good idea. Hey, do you know what I read? The average person in this country eats fast food twice a week.
You're kidding? Well, that's way too often, especially for children.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe our guidelines should tell people how often it's okay to eat fast food.
Well, what does everyone think about that?
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I think so too.
Me too.
Yeah, sounds good.
B. Listening for details. Page 117.
Okay, so now we have an idea for our guidelines. We only have 5 minutes left, so we'd better hurry. So, how often is it okay to eat fast food?
Well, from what we learned in class, fast food almost always has too much salt and fat to be healthy. Remember those bar graphs we looked at?
That's true. But if we say that people should never eat fast food, they won't listen.
Maybe we should say this. It's okay to have a fast food meal anytime if you eat something healthy with it, like a salad or fruit.
So 3 cheeseburgers and an apple is a healthy meal?
I know. What about this as a guideline? If the rest of your diet is good, you can enjoy fast food occasionally.
Okay, but what do you mean by occasionally? We should explain that.
Oh, for example, once a week.
No, that's way too often. What about once a month?
Yeah, that sounds a lot better to me. If people usually eat a healthy diet, one fast food meal in a month won't be a problem.
Yeah, you're right. That's better.
Omar, what do you think?
Once a month? That sounds okay.
Great. So, in summary, we've decided people should not eat fast food more than once a month.
Right. So, what kind of visual should we use to show our guidelines?
What about a pie chart?
A pie chart. That's a great idea.
Right. We could label each section with different kinds of food or food groups, like vegetables and fruit.
Great idea. Next, we need to write our guidelines on the board.
Here, I can do that.
Thanks, Leah. I really appreciate it. My writing is so hard to read.
No problem.
C. Page 117. 1.
I think we should just talk about regular fast food, like fried chicken.
2.
Maybe our guidelines should tell people how often it's okay to eat fast food.
3.
But if we say that people should never eat fast food, they won't listen.
4.
If people usually eat a healthy diet, one fast food meal in a month won't be a problem.
5.
Next, we need to write our guidelines on the board.
Unit 7. Lesson A. Building vocabulary. A. Meaning from context. Page 124.
Inexpensive buildings for earthquake zones. The Earth's crust consists of several different pieces called tectonic plates. These plates are always moving. The places where the Earth's plates meet are called boundaries. When the plates push together, they can form mountains. Some of the plates jump as they move. When these plates jump, they can cause earthquakes. Places where earthquakes are more likely to occur are called earthquake zones. Haiti and Chile are examples of countries in earthquake zones. In 2010, strong earthquakes occurred in Haiti and Chile. The earthquake in Haiti killed more than 200,000 people, but in Chile, fewer than 1,000 people died. So why did more people survive the Chilean earthquake? One difference is the buildings. In Chile and in other developed countries, buildings are constructed from stronger materials. For example, concrete walls are reinforced with steel rods. In countries such as Haiti, heavy walls and roofs are usually not reinforced. This is dangerous because in an earthquake, buildings shake and they can collapse on top of the people inside. Engineers in several countries are working to solve the problem. Better buildings can be constructed cheaply. The engineers hope that in the future, more people will survive earthquakes.
Lesson A. Developing Listening Skills. Listening, an Earth Science lecture. A. Listening for Main Ideas. Page 126.
Okay, so today we're going to continue talking about plate tectonics. As you know, the Earth's crust consists of several plates. There are 14 major plates, plus many smaller plates. These plates are always moving, of course, and exciting things happen as a result. The places where the Earth's plates meet are called boundaries, and there are three main boundary types. The first are called convergent boundaries. There, plates come together. This pushing together can cause mountains to form. One plate can also move under another at a convergent boundary, making the mountains on the top plate rise even higher. In fact, the highest mountains on Earth, the Himalaya, are the result of a convergent boundary. The second type of boundary is called divergent. At a divergent boundary, the plates move apart. As they move away from each other, a body of water can form between them. A good example of this is the Persian Gulf region, where the Arabian Plate and the Eurasian Plate moved apart to form the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. More recently, the two plates have become convergent again, forming the mountains in Iran. You don't have to worry about the Gulf disappearing, though, because these changes take place over millions of years. Okay, the third and final type of boundary is called a transform boundary. There, the plates are moving past each other. To give you an example, along the San Andreas Fault in California and northern Mexico, one plate is moving north, while the other plate is moving south. The plates don't move smoothly, however. The movement only happens occasionally when the plates move in small or large jumps. And when the plates make a big jump, the result is a major earthquake.
Lesson B. Building Vocabulary. B. Meaning from Context. Page 134.
The Gatekeeper of Merapi. Mba Marajan has a very unusual job. He's the gatekeeper of Merapi, an active volcano on the island of Java in Indonesia. According to traditional stories, an ogre named Sapu Jagat lives inside Merapi. The gatekeeper knows the mountain better than anyone, and his job is to keep the ogre quiet, or else tell people when the volcano will become dangerous so that they can evacuate. It's an important job because many people live near Merapi. Marajan's own village of Kinarejo is only 3 miles, 5 kilometers from the volcano. And the city of Yogyakarta, where 500,000 people live, is just 20 miles, 32 kilometers away. In fact, more people live near active volcanoes in Indonesia than in any other place in the world. On the island of Java alone, there are 30 volcanoes and 120 million people. One of the world's best-known natural disasters occurred in Indonesia in 1883. The eruption of Mount Krakatau, a volcanic island near Java, caused a tsunami that killed more than 36,000 people. In addition, There was enough volcanic ash from the eruption to affect the Earth's weather for several months. Active volcanoes are dangerous. However, people live near them because volcanic soil is very rich. In Kinnaredjo, most people are farmers. For them, living near Merapi means making a living. Evacuating means leaving behind their homes, animals, and lives, at least for a while. So as long as the gatekeeper says it's safe to stay, the villagers of Kinnaredjo won't leave.
Lesson B. Developing listening skills. Pronunciation. Syllable stress review and syllable number. Page 136. Examples.
Collapse. Survive. Dangerous. Materials.
A. Page 136.
1. According to. 2. Active. 3. Effect. 4. Disaster. 5. Eruption. 6. Evacuate. 7. Make a living. 8. Natural. 9. Villager.
Listening. A group discussion. A. Listening for main ideas. Page 137.
I'm really glad we're doing this. Studying alone never works well for me.
I agree. I think studying in a group is really helpful, especially for an exam. Should we talk about the questions we have?
Definitely. For instance, I don't understand the difference between lava and magma. Aren't they the same thing?
They are the same thing, melted rock. But when it's inside the Earth, it's called magma, and when it comes out of the Earth, it's called lava.
According to Chapter 6, that's right. Now, who can explain why volcanoes are dangerous?
Yeah, Professor Lopez said that hot lava can kill people and start fires. He also talked about huge rocks and hardened lava. I wouldn't want to be nearby when those fly out.
Did anyone understand the part about the man in Indonesia? Isn't it okay if he tells people when it's time to evacuate?
It might be okay, but it's not very scientific. The U.S. government told everyone to evacuate before Mount St. Helens erupted. Geologists had said the volcano was going to erupt, so almost everyone left, but some people stayed. When it erupted, 57 people were killed, so knowing when to evacuate is very important.
Wow, I guess it does make a difference.
I think you're missing something about that man in Indonesia. The gatekeeper's an important part of village culture. It's a tradition to listen to him.
Right, that's a good point.
Lesson B. Exploring spoken English. Grammar. Gerunds as subjects and objects. B. Note-taking. Page 138.
Hello, I'm Hassan, and I'm from Bangladesh. I'm a soil scientist. I work at helping farmers to get the most from their land. I also teach them to take care of the land for future generations. Farming is very important in Bangladesh, and fishing is too. Every year, we get heavy rains and flooding, making the soil here very rich.
My name is Margaret. I live in a small village near Glarus, Switzerland. My family makes a living by keeping cows. You've probably heard of Swiss cheese. It's famous all over the world. Our farm is in the mountains, and that means moving the cows several times a year. It's a lot of work.
Hi, I'm Cecilia from Havana, the capital of Cuba. I'm a high school student. Here in Havana, the weather is great most of the time, so spending a lot of time outside is normal for us. I love walking in old Havana. getting something to eat there, or just spending time with my friends. We're on the ocean, so going to the beach is everyone's favorite pastime.
CD 2. Pathways Listening, Speaking, and Critical Thinking 2 by Becky Tarver Chase and Kristen L. Johansson. Copyright 2012, published by Heinley, a part of Cengage Learning. All rights reserved. Unit 5. Building Vocabulary. A. Meaning from context. Page 84. Facts to make you think about your brain.
1. Every time you have a new thought or recall a memory, your brain creates a new connection or pathway.
2. Even without words, you can understand when someone is happy, sad, or angry. There is a small area in your brain called the amygdala that helps you read other people's